Hey everyone, I'm rather Incoherent. Today, the deck is going to be Fatigue Imp Lock. The deck is pretty straightforward. The Imp core package has lost a lot. It does get a few new Imps with Baritone Imp, and in particular with all the Crazed Conductor Imps if you can take a couple Fatigue cards. It's got some new burn with Crescendo. We're mostly running Void Virtuoso as just another early game body that can then be a target for Nothing's Imp-ossible, which is nice. And the deck has one really strong thing going for it now that it didn't used to have. On the whole, I don't know that the Imp package got better or worse, because it lost a lot of its Imp spam, and without as many Imps, I don't think it's as reliable for using Impending Catastrophe to draw any of the stuff involving curses. But you can reliably still draw through a lot of your deck very quickly, which means Symphony of Sins is much more likely to actually just be things you can reliably draw and play. In a normal control Warlock, you'd be drawing through your Symphony of Sins very slowly at the end of the game, whereas with this, you might be drawing like half of the Symphony by turn 9, which is really, really impressive. The best possible curve in this deck is nuts, with like Flame Imps into Baritone Imps, into Imp Gang Bosses, Mischievous Imps, Crazed Conductors, Imp King Rafam. As soon as you find a board that sticks, you have an Impending Catastrophe, Symphony of Sins for Steam for days. It feels like a very, very scary mid-range deck. I'm looking forward to trying it out. Before we get started though, if you haven't already subscribed to the channel, please do so, and I wouldn't mind if you dropped a like while you were down there. It really does help the channel out. Alright, we're up against Shaman. I'm not convinced that we beat good Shaman tempo decks for the total variety. We keep Flame Imp, we keep Vial Library, we toss the rest. I look at this fucking curve, right? I look at Flame Imp Voidwalker, I'm like, oh man, I was playing these in Classic. This has to be bad, right? Like, playing these cards as your early curve minions in an aggressive deck feels so outdated and weak. Like, 1 mana Bloodfin Raptor does not inspire confidence. I wonder if here I should be playing Voidwalker, Void Virtuoso, or if I should be tapping or playing Vial Library. I have no idea. My opponent had literally nothing, which was surprising. That implies they might be a control deck with like Lightning Storm, right? I'm gonna play Vial Library because it actually threatens to do something. It's not as passive as tapping, and it's not as all in as playing both 1-drops. So it feels like a nice middle ground before I know what he's doing. All right, that doesn't necessarily mean Murlocs. That could be amalgams just like my deck. This doesn't do anything. This hand is still trash. So what we have to do here is Vial Library onto the Voidwalker for the potential value trade and go face. Impending Catastrophe, not great without Imps. Next turn, we're still looking at tapping, even though, like... Do we just Crescendo to get a better Crazed Conductor next turn? If he gives us a board to Crescendo, we absolutely do it for that reason. God, I just spent an hour destroying people with this. Yeah, just to make Crazed Conductor better, we're gonna do it this way. We're gonna kill the totem. And even though Crescendo does next to fuck all, I think we're still playing it. No, I regret this, I'm tapping. Double Crescendo is decent. I know this is terrible at only 1 Imp, but it literally does nothing. It doesn't affect the board at all if I play Crescendo. Now Crescendo does something at least, if that's not healing anyway. It'll kill that, it'll do something there. I don't know that it does enough. I think I might be playing Crazed Conductor into buff my 1/3 so I can kill the totem. Like, it's not great, but we just haven't had a great hand, and these Crescendos can carry us out of it. Because now they actually clear minions. They do stuff now that we've taken some fatigue. He still has cheap Murloc, so Amalgams can come down really cheap, Rotgill can come down really cheap. Gorlock Ravager can come down at 1 with double Clownfish. All right, nice. He has 1 Clownfish charge left, so he still has some good value to cheat out. This is going to get wiped out by Crescendo, because I don't have an alternative, really. But if I double Crescendo this, I'm probably losing, so instead, I think I'm going to take a bad board state to use Impending Catastrophe here. Oh, that's a really bad board state, though. I want to Impending Catastrophe, but like Crescendo clears the board, and I feel pretty dead here. So Crescendo. Thanks for saving me from 5 damage, Void Virtuoso. And more importantly, for hitting him for 2. All right, I'm pretty much out of reach now, and I don't have a second clear if he refuels, which he definitely can. This is gonna be bad. I feel very dead. He should have hero powered first for the chance at getting 2 totems, or 2 taunts rather. But ultimately probably not a big deal. I'm going to play this Imp, and I'm going to see what sort of catastrophe awaits me. I can play Voidwalker, Tour Guide, tap. This impending capacity is getting worse, not better though. And I can't kill this, so I go face. Which puts him in range for the Symphony that kills him. So I have a 3 out of 7 at lethal, at least. What other plans do I have other than play Symphony and hope? Because he's about to be threatening lethal with Bloodlust, and I don't know if other people are running it. I think if he's running stuff like Gorlock like I am, there's not room for Bloodlust, but you can't trust people, man. They do crazy shit. Yeah, this is precisely the problem, is I don't have the ability... Wait. If I have enough Imps, and I do have enough Imps, he's dead, because he left this on board. Oh no, I've got 1, 2, 3 Imps. 4, 5, 6, 7. I'm an Imp short? Don't tell me I'm an Imp short, because it's not infused. 1, 2, 3, 7, 8, 9 mana. I'm an Imp short, I'm a damage short, I'm a mana short. There's no way for me to line it up. So it's gotta be Symphony then. There are 2 that kill my opponent. There's one that deals 6 directly to face. And there's one that busts my minion. He's actually just... All 3 of these kill him. Yep, that'll do. I didn't realize that. There's actually 3 different 6 burn options. There's not that many combinations that actually result in me not killing him. Okay, that was way safer than I thought it was thanks to the Symphony finisher. I did not realize that there... I was thinking there was only the AoE. I forgot about the 6 to face, and I didn't realize that the hand buff also affects my board, and since my thing was alive, I didn't need to use the library. Got there eventually. Alright, so we keep Flustered Librarian, and it probably works out. If he's control, I feel decent, because I think this matchup is favored against the control player due to the Symphony of Sins being basically inevitable. I'm going to get so many boards, I'm going to get so much value, and I'm going to draw through this whole thing, whereas he doesn't really have the same thing going if he's playing the dumb Mal'Ganis lock stuff I was. However, I've also literally not seen a single player who was running a control Warlock deck, I think. I think I've pretty exclusively gone into aggressive Imp variants of Warlocks, so I feel bad about not playing too much control yet, but my opponents seem to be playing even less than me. This is a very good curve. Unfortunately, it is all dead to Coin Hellfire. Additionally, Coin Mortal Coil Defile kills it all. He's really just not that afraid of just playing something like Drain Soul. Yeah, like this is still fine. It's still a very good curve. I was definitely way more afraid of a board clear with the coin than just losing 1 minion. And now I'm more resilient to stuff. However, Imp Gang Boss does mean your board just dies to Defile, period, end of story, as long as 1 minion dies on the first tick of Defile. So that is alarming. As long as Imp Gang Boss is on my board, I am afraid.
The culprit was...
Oh. Weird. Going to tap. I'm gonna play Impending Catastrophe instead of a Tour Guide. We're getting to a point where, like, I might just have a lethal with Crescendo at some point, especially with the damage from Symphony. I'm feeling pretty solid over here. Double Baritone Imp into Crazed Conductor is also be very scary for my opponent. School Teacher! What's going on? What am I playing against? I sort of, like, assumed Forensic Duster was some counterattack I didn't understand, but now School Teacher's coming down, and I'm just genuinely confused. Oh my god, School Teacher can hit Defile, Hellfire, and Plague Eruption. It has 3 AoEs in it. Does School Teacher reliably get a 1 mana AoE? I need to check out the density of spells there. It definitely has a very good shot at hitting 1. Like, way better than any other class's School Teacher. Looks like he hit 1. No. I thought he was going to be going into Gang Boss. That's not it. Are you charged? Now you are. What? Destroy it after your hero takes damage. It doesn't have to be during your turn, so if it attacks, it'll die. I can play Void Virtuoso, Imp. Trade with the 3-1, eat as 1-1. I'm fine with this. If he has a clear for this, it really doesn't matter to me, because I have the refill with this guy. Kill that. Get my Imp. So I've got a lot of steam after this. I'm assuming there's a way for this board to die. He might just not have AoE. Like, you gotta got something to fit School Teachers and Forensic Dusters in your deck. Maybe he got the AoE. I've got no idea. I have no idea what length of game he's playing for, because he's playing a bunch of, like, weird mid-range minions that don't really fit any Warlock identity. Alright, we're looking at... Oh, he's got Baritone Imps too. I mean, that makes sense. So he's got the Fatigue package. And he's running Drain Life, so I know he's at least a moderately slow deck. Do I care about his 3/3 Imp? I don't think I do. I'll just go ahead and summon the rest of my board of Imps while ignoring Fatigue again. What do these guys look like? The Orchestral Imps, you know, playing little violins in their little blue shirts. 6 to everything clears my board, but it's not actually good for him. It puts him at very low health. So I think I'm in a great position here, because if he does clear my board, I just slam down the next Conductor immediately, summon a full board, and tell him to go. I also Tour Guide, Hero Power Tour Guide to get cards and keep steam rolling. And then I have Crescendos in the deck for the kill. Gang Boss die without summoning an Imp, always hate to see it. Is Vial Library lethal? We have 3, 6, 1, 3, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. We're not quite there. I'm gonna slam this down now, though, and buff the Void Virtuoso. I think it's my best minion. And I guess nothing's impossible, and not even trying to get lethal is the thing to do, right? We just send them in and don't even lose anything. And we tap for free because this guy just doesn't want to stake in damage. And again, Crescendo is just killing him at any point. He can no longer tap. There's literally nothing he has that threatens any sort of lethal, or he's just so dead. So I can conclusively say that in terms of fatigue-based mid-range decks, his appears to have been the worst build. Does he actually draw all 6 without burning? Well, he'll overdraw next turn, but he has mana left. That's surprising. When I look at Movement of Greed, I just assume that Warlocks can't play it without running out of hand space. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe, no. I feel like most Warlock decks can't. Like, if I had it right now, I wouldn't be able to hold them all. Like, once you play it, you can start playing just to dump your hand, but dumping your hand tends to be an inefficient thing that you don't want to do, so that's still a downside to Greed. And GG. Oh, actually, if he had Void Virtuoso, he could have played that, or the Harp, and survived. So he wasn't actually locked out. There was a way out of that for him. Alright, we got a Paladin. I'm not sure what I should be holding against Paladin, but it's probably not those cards. Tour Guide Hero Power isn't exactly the best, but I mean, it's better than nothing. All right, so my opponent kept 2. Void Virtuoso. I'm still gonna tap immediately. I would rather find a 2-drop, and if I can't find one, I would rather tap than play Void Virtuoso. Well, if I do ever come around to playing Void Virtuosos, they've got my back. They're waiting for it. Against Paladin, I think maybe I do slam double Virtuoso, even though it's kind of shit. I trade here and play Virtuosos. Sounds terrible. I think I might just be dead. I feel very dead if I tap. So if I tap, does this deck want a little bit more control tools, honestly? What if this deck ran like Defile and Hellfire? It seems bad. Like, I always get mad at Zoo decks for playing Hellfire, but it is Reach. What would I cut for? It's the problem. Like, everything in this deck feels very core. Tour Guide. If we're running Defile instead of Tour Guide, the deck would definitely be in a better spot right now. Void Virtuoso is also, honestly, not that great. I'd still have 6 1-drops if I cut both. Maybe these guys need to go and become something else. I think I'm dead if I don't do this. I think the problem is that I'm dead even if I do this. Like, a Hand of a Doll comes down and I just cry myself into the next game, right? I feel like Paladin minions line up really well against the Flame Imps, because, I mean, Flame Imps and 1/3s are just really not that impressive. You want stuff that's like a 2/1 with a sick effect. You don't care about these guys. Well, I got Nothing's Impossible value now. Thanks for being greedy, really appreciate it. Now, if you would like to go face again next turn so I can play a second Nothing's Impossible, I would greatly appreciate it. After all, if you didn't trade then, why would you trade now? Now I get stuff out of it. So you should obviously keep going face. Wait, really? No, he's going face.
The light dims, but we fight.
All right, it is scary, but thanks to playing these guys out, we have a small chance. Is it better to tap? Almost certainly not.
These books are ruined.
Consecrate, I beckoned it. Like, our board's not doomed anymore. We did manage to find a way through. Void Virtuoso is looking like he should be in the deck. Same with Tour Guide. Without these cards, I probably would just be dead, right? If they were specifically AoE, I guess I'd be all right. But that's, like, these guys fit into normal curves. Defile doesn't. So I don't know. I think they're probably right, but against specifically Paladin, I feel the weakness of these early minions pretty aggressively. He hasn't consecrated me yet, which means he doesn't have it. It would be the most BM thing in the world to be debating what to do with your last 1 mana after you clear my board and hit me down to 12. Seal of Blood is fine by me. Go face. That's actually better for me. I don't know why I was telling him to go face. So I can full trade and play this to get an Imp, a singular Imp. But then I can refob next turn. Or I can play Vile Library, keep one of these guys alive as a 8/3. That seems worse. Like, I don't like this. But it is the play. Now we have an infused Reform, and we can buff up this Imp and get all our Imps back next turn. Board will be perfectly filled. He doesn't have anything to threaten us with. Vile Library not being here is sad, but acceptable.
Reporting for duty.
All right, Reform, bring it on. Not actually sure if I hit the Jitterbug or not. If I go face, I drop him from 25 to 16. If I let him hit me, I have 6 life left. We already know that he runs Seal of Blood and Hand of a Doll, but together that's only 5. It seems unlikely that I die and likely that I set up lethal. If I don't do anything, if I just value trade, this goes down to 1, so it'll be dead. I'll have 4, 8, 12, 16, 20, 26. It's very likely I don't have lethal. There's not a lot of reach available to Paladin. He's already displayed enough of it that he can't play double Seal of Blood here. And Seal of Blood, Hand of a Doll is not good enough. So this is my best chance of winning, I think. I think if I let the game drag on here, it's much more likely to kill me. Oh my god, no! Oh, that's so sad. Funkfin was nowhere near enough, but with fucking Kel'Thalas, it's exact lethal. It wouldn't have been enough with Seal of Blood either. Punished immediately. The fear there, by the way, is very much that if I try to play control, he just plays Blood Crusader into Countess, and he actually turns the board around, and I have no steam left in my hand. I was miscounting my damage for next turn, though, because I would have had room for Vile Library, so that was enough to tilt the math against it. Also, without knowing their decks, I should be assuming they're running for Kel'Thalas. They haven't been running it in the past, but shortly after expansion, I can't assume they aren't. Anyway, Flustered Librarian into Phoenix Circle. Seems pretty good. Of course, if he just plays like a 1-drop, it might suddenly look very, very bad. Because there's a lot of 1-drops where I'm like, oh, cool, you're dead. That's not one of them. Unfortunately, this is not good against Hand of a Doll. This is not good against Spotlight. But I mean, what are you gonna do? Sometimes you just get wrecked. Don't have it. Come on, just don't have it.
Easier to draw blood than staunch it.
All right, Liandra being on board is absolutely horrifying. This is my best bet at having a kill on Liandra next turn, and I absolutely need to do that, because if Liandra just sticks to the board, you tend to lose the game. If she has basically any minions, this probably sticks, honestly. Does that work on summon? Gross. Absolutely disgusting. So that's perfect curve then. Can't do better than that. Liandrin gets to stick because they all have taunts. I'm still relatively okay, because he doesn't have that much damage on board. I can draw towards stuff like Crescendo. It's only got 1 health left. The issue is if he buffs it this turn, because I'm not able to stop him from doing so. I've got to play Flame at Impending Catastrophe. It's the most draw I can get, and I have to find Crescendo to kill that. All right, that's good. Crescendo can fix this, maybe. We need to see how bad it gets with his 4-drop. If he plays like Steel of Blood onto Liandrin, I probably just lose. Yeah, we know he's getting disgusting value here. Everything has Divine Shield, so Crescendo's not even killing it. His deck's been thinned to hell. For the record, there's one game I'm not airing for this so far, and it's just another paladin that curved out with Liadrin, and I wasn't able to deal with it. It's so frustrating. Now, these are dead. Those are both alive. He has 4 1/1s in his hand, so light rays are going to be online. You're infused, so that's very helpful, but I have to get to turn 6 for that to matter. Against the board I'm seeing, Void Virtuoso is pretty good. So I'll play Void Virtuoso and Crescendo. I feel very bad off right now, but I'm not actually dead at all. If he has light rays in hand, I'm gonna get blown out to an unreasonable degree. That'll do it too, man. Yeah, sure, just 2 mana 8/8 basically is what we're looking at here. So what can I do? Nothing, basically. We can try to find something else. Get this down while I can. Is Vile Library or Nothing's Impossible better for immediate board tempo? Nothing Impossible, I think. So I take 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 10 damage here. Potentially more if he just plays minions and hopes. Alright, he's gambling. Yep, there's a light ray. I can't help but feel like you probably, if this has a 50-50 of giving him lethal, then it makes sense to do it. But there's the punish. And yeah, it was a 50-50 of giving him lethal. So I understand why. Wait, with 4 Health of Loss, wait a second. It was giving him +4 initially, right? He could have done this in a different order that improved his odds. He didn't need to play this many of them. Still, I think I'm just dead. Unfortunately, this is not specifically second Crescendo. Does Crescendo keep me alive?
Not getting any younger.
3 here. This will be here, but it won't have a shield. It'll be at 2. I mean, I'm dead with the stuff in my hand, so you tap. That ain't it. Feels like a very bad matchup. And it might be reinforcing my belief that Pure Paladin's just the top tier deck right now. Honestly, no, I can't even say that that reinforces my beliefs about Pure Paladin being good, because I just got blown the fuck out by highroll Liadrin in both Paladin games. It doesn't even mean anything from an analysis standpoint. It's like, oh yeah, you drew a curve that couldn't answer Liadrin and they got insane value on it. Of course you lost. There's nothing to learn from it. It's so sad. This is not the curve my aggressive deck was looking for. However, every time I curve out with minions that I hate, so maybe there's not a curve that I in particular was looking for. Oh, also, oh god, it's Outcast Demon Hunter. My faith in this deck is at a crippling all-time low, and I don't believe I have a chance in hell of winning this. That's where I'm at emotionally. I'm just like, oh yeah, I'm dead. This deck isn't actually good. And I think I've really reinforced my belief in that. I got destroyed by this deck, but the curve is not actually that good in a competitive matchup where you're fighting for a board. The AoE stuff with Crescendo is like theoretically nice, but very jank. And the end game's not that strong. If you were reliably hitting the best parts of the curve, like the high rolls in this deck are really good, but the average result does not feel great. Anyway, what does he have? We don't know anything. He's just drawing a lot of cards with a randomly generated Spectral Sight. Oh no. Yeah, Posic's pretty good. I think I want to tour guide bot here. No, I just have to accept the bots are happening. I play this. You. Take my free tap. And I get some good death rattles. And then I get hit for 6 against a deck that has a million burn, and I really don't stand much of a chance here, but I'm gonna keep trying. If I were one of the variants that ran the harp, like if I were tilting into control maybe, but I just don't think this deck can tilt into control. Like you cut this stuff, your early curve gets so bad, you may as well just become a real control deck, right? Oh man, curve Glaivatar after coin Posic. I mean, I can just stop commenting now and tell you I lost the game. Also, I'm at 9 health and I can't deal with his board, so I can just concede as well. Like, I'm pretty sure he can deal 4 from hand at some point over the next many turns. He's at 30 health. Alright, we got another Death Knight. And I think at this point I'm probably going to air this and keep all my losses in, because realistically, I think this is a really good showcase of why I had doubts about this deck. This is a deck that's really hard to explain why it's not good. And the reality is that it's not good because its curve just loses to other aggressive decks, and it's not fast enough to really pressure control decks to a super effective degree. There are definitely control decks it beats, and it can curve out and win against an aggro deck. But lots of decks are capable of winning games without actually having a lot of merit to playing them. I can't tell you that this has a good enough curve to dominate board. I can't tell you that it has a lot of in-game burn to steal games. I can't tell you that it has high-value win conditions. These decks have been really thoroughly showcasing why I don't think this is a good deck. Symphony of Sins might make this a good deck in a much slower meta, but in a world of pure paladins and outcast demon hunters, I just don't think there's a reason to play this. The thing that impressed me about this deck was because I was playing Control Warlock, which makes other decks look better because Control Warlock isn't actually a good deck, to my incredible sadness. Anyway, holding Imp Gang Boss was maybe not correct, and now I'm paying for my greed. I'm very sad to see the closest thing to Zoo not working, but I mean, the fact that it actually has cards in common with the Zoo decks might be part of why, right? The core of our early curve are minions that came out in Classic. That's not good. Also, this is Renathal Blood, and I think that's the nail in my coffin. I play Vile Library just so that Fiendish Circle immediately gets value, I think? No. I just coin Fiendish Circle before he has AoE available. That's much smarter. If he plays something that threatens me, I can Vile Library and kill it. If he doesn't, I can just progress board with Imp Gang Boss.
The citadel stands strong.
I'm honestly not quite sure where on the fence I sit when it comes to that. Oh. This is where I sit on that. I will gladly take more Imps, and better Imps. So, I'm in dominant board control here. This is a really good spot to be, but he is blood, so, If he doesn't have a good response here, which it's looking like he doesn't, and I top deck second Vile Library, I think I just win, right? I buff 2 different minions, I crush him, he loses. Interesting that he targets that instead of this. That's a pretty hard telegraph, I would say, that he has, what's it called? Blood Boil. Man, this hand is not good. It's definitely a Vile Library play because that gets me a tap in, and the other ones are just trash. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I will overdraw if I do it now, but if I don't do it now, will I ever get anything? Additionally, if I don't do it now, I might not get to do it ever, but to play around Asphyxiate, I'm doing it this way. I don't want to get blown out by that. I don't want him to trade in and Blood Boil and Asphyxiate and just break my back. I know he can't do it all in one turn, but over the course of turns, like, he's nowhere near dead. 29, and additionally, he's a Blood Death Knight. He has lots of life steal, he has lots of max life increase. I think I have to control the board there. Everyone's just hard running Death Strike. Someone must have streamed this, or maybe that's just like the intuitive thing to do in building decks. I don't know. This seems very bad to me. Imp Gang Boss, Impending Catastrophe. We got Tour Guide, Flame Imp, Vile Library, again is pretty solid, Mischievous Imp to get charging, Voidwalker, no Reform, no Symphony. Those are the cards I really need. Well, I didn't draw a Symphony because it's already in my hand. That's fairly important. I would say that maybe that counts for something.
My blood for the Lich King.
Huh. Just another Hematurge. Still haven't seen what he's discovered. Oh yeah, he discovered Heart Strike on the first one. I already know. I'm stupid.
Who here can spell Zinjari?
I wonder if that's the order I would have taken. Wouldn't School Teacher first be more likely to be good here? I don't know. I could just be stupid. All right, Nothing's Impossible needs to come down. If I'm just buffing minions, I want to create the biggest stick I possibly can. So I want to play 2 more Imps or Demons. I have a Flame Imp here, a Voidwalker. I don't want to play you. All right, Flame Imp, Voidwalker. Nothing's Impossible. And in terms of a huge minion, I actually don't want it on Imp Gang Boss. I want to, like, diversify my threats out here. I'm gonna put it on you. We go face with this one. I'm not quite sure how I want to do the rest of this. If he has Blood Boil, he can go here, trade. I'm just going face. I'm done thinking. Oh, I had room for the Vile Library, didn't I? Well, I'm not going to admit that to him. Yeah, absolutely, I should have just played a second Vile Library and went face for more damage, but I didn't realize my Vile Library had went off the board because I used the last charge, because I'm bad at the game. And that's very important when you're analyzing my plays. You need to remember that I'm fucking terrible at Hearthstone. Oh, no. Now, Blood Boil is fine here, but Corpse Explosion kinda doesn't do much. It only hits 3 times. Just enough to kill his 4-3. Did this make things better for him? Oh, the 4-3 gives him a new corpse. That's neat. Anyway, that imp was loaded. I've never actually seen Blood Boil hit a minion because it always goes off from empty boards, but nice. Wait, what? You discovered that, good. I was so distressed for a second. I thought he legitimately ran the card. I played this because if it hits specifically the deck hand buff thing, I win on the spot. I'll take that. I'll play this and take a free tap. I'm not trading here, that's insane. That needs to get infused, which I have just enough minions to do. Crazed Conductor is currently summoning 2 imps. He can do a lot better though. So I've got Reform to refill, I've got Mischievous, I've got Crazed, I've got a couple more boards. That looks like Soul Stealer to me. Reform is 0 mana, what the fuck? Do I just want to make him have... He's a Renathal deck, he's 13 cards in, he'll be 14 next turn. Do I just want to make him have exactly second 1? I can play this into Crazed Conductor, into this. I don't even need to go that all in, do I? I can just play Reform plus this.
Getting any younger.
Yeah, I just do that. 0 mana Reform comes down. I make one of these minions absolutely huge. What else got buffed? My Crazed Conductor. I tap and I probably use a Vile Library a second minion to be massive. Doesn't really matter which one, just not Reform. Alright, have exactly second Soul Stealer in the top 14 of your 40 card deck or lose the game on the spot. Because I've seen both of his discovers so far. If that ain't it. Does he have enough mana to get the next Corpse or Corpse Explosion to kill everything? No, he's 1 short, he needs a 1-drop. That ain't it. Alright. I think that's the... No, because he can have a reduced Corpse Explosion. Now he can't. Good job, Imps. I mean, you did absolute dog for a little while there, but then we just destroyed him with Symphony of Sins into teching the Reform out of our deck, tutoring rather, and then buffing everything. That was disgusting. That was the biggest refill I've ever seen, and we got to it pretty fast. I've got to play one more game with Imp Warlock. I'm so torn on the deck right now. It feels so solid versus control, and just every time I'm in any sort of matchup that's board-centric early on, I'm like, man, I don't believe at all. I'm so dead. I'm so fucked the entire time. Maybe you keep both. I wonder if Reform's so good you just hold him in your opening hand. That can't possibly be right. Nothing's impossible. Definitely worse when all your 1-drops aren't demons.
I see you've brought guests.
Renathal Ramp makes sense. My experience with the deck was lackluster, but hopefully you can show me something more interesting than what I did. Or you can just lose, and I would appreciate that too, but I would like to learn more cool things about Hearthstone. Turn 1 Aquatic Form. Oh no. He's not showing me shit. He is not going to be showing me new and interesting ideas. Gonna Tour Guide first, so I can potentially draw anything to do next turn. Is a Voidwalker Flustered Librarian something to do next turn? I don't think so. I think that's just a tap. If I draw a 3-drop, I'll do it. If I draw Fiendish Circle or... Nothing's impossible, ain't it? That ain't it either, but... If I coin Voidwalker, the next turn I can Voidwalker, nothing's impossible. And if he deals with it, I can tap Voidwalker. So I'll put this out now. Because even though Voidwalker, nothing's impossible is trash tempo, it is the best thing I've got available to me right now, and the alternative is just doing nothing. Widowbloom. That's still not good. I don't have the ability to deal with those 5/5s. Going to tap here. If I draw anything that's going to give me a lot of imps, it would be the other one, but since I didn't, it's you. If I can take fatigue damage in sufficient quantities, I can clear his 5/5s with crescendos. I would need to draw the entire fatigue package to get up to 5 on a crescendo, or a second crescendo and get to 1 before they come down. Both of which are pretty hard to do, neither of which are good responses. Ah, man. Am I just dead to Rhythm and Roots? You, and Imps. And then when they come down, we can play a second when we've got things, just not good things. This also gets our Reform charge, which is good for flooding back, and Druid's not great if they have to deal with a wide board. Oh, that's second crescendo. I haven't charged it at all, unfortunately, so it doesn't work. I can play one of these, trade in, and then go face for a good chunk. And that lets me play Impending Catastrophe this turn too. All right. Do I just want to play the next one too? 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I have the space. Yep. And then we draw our deck. Give me all of the cards, please. I don't think there's anything for one that I care about, but I'll still just like throw down a Void Virtuoso or a Flame Up or whatever. I don't care. And he has to do this himself. I don't have any reason to make this trade for him. Unfortunately, this last Imp's Death Rattle was wasted a little bit, but it's not a big deal at all. Oh, you just have lethal. Yeah, I wasn't paying attention to that possibility. What do you have for reach? I'm curious. Feral fucking Rage. Yeah, I didn't realize I was at 18 health. Thanks, Flame Imps. Just forgot to pay attention to that part. So that game should have been a win, but I'm bad at the game. It's important to remember that I am bad at Hearthstone. I just forgot, despite Flame Imp being a completely subpar card that I'm not happy to play, it also deals 6 damage to my face. I wasn't even thinking about it. My opponent was only 2 over, by the way, and he top decked the Feral Rage. If I hadn't played the Flame Imp or hadn't been comically unlucky, I might have won. That's so sad. My official verdict on Fatigue Imps is that I don't like it. It's so janky in the way it builds powerful boards. It feels very unsafe to aggressive decks. It feels like it can very easily lose board in the early game. It feels meandering and weak. It feels like a lot of different ways exist to beat it on board and to prevent it from getting on board. It's not bad. It's perfectly viable. But as I will so often say, perfectly viable is oftentimes not actually good. It's very frustrating in the ways that it's fine. It's not quite good enough at fighting for board to be dominant. It's not quite good enough at refilling from board to be persistent, and it's not nearly good enough at stabilizing to come back from behind position. I feel like if I wanted to just go all in fighting for board and hope, I would be better off playing something like Shaman. And if I wanted to be explosive and come back from board later on, to be far better off playing Outcast, Demon Hunter. Fatigue Imps feels like there's a deck that has no niche where it is the best deck to play it. And that's what's so heartbreaking about it. I think in an expansion or two, Fatigue Imps could be an oppressively strong deck, and I'm sure you can refine it to a better deck than I'm currently playing. But it doesn't feel like it has promise to me. Which is sad, because after getting stomped by Symphony of Sins in a control matchup, I thought this was going to be good, but no. It's nice. It's not bad in the deck, but it's not the secret sauce to make the deck work that I was looking for. The fact that, I think the big thing is just, I need one more fatigue card, right? If there was one more card that dealt you fatigue damage and did something with it, and you got to run that, and you could justify running the horn and slowing the deck down a little bit, the deck would just explode in power. But it's just limited enough in support for Imps, just limited enough in support for fatigue, that nothing quite works. And it's deeply frustrating, because it's so close to being sick. And it's so easy to think it's sick when you lose to it, because whatever it does to win, it usually is all the pieces lining up right. You see Flame Imp, coin Flame Imp, into Impending Catastrophe, into Fiendish Circle, you clear it to stop Vile Libraries, then Mischievous Imp comes down, then Crazed Conductor comes down, it's fine, it doesn't do that much, but it's still something you got to deal with, then Reform comes down, then Symphony of Sins, and you know he's got cards behind it because he's still just playing like one card a turn, he's still up in cards from Impending Catastrophe, and you see all of that and it's disgusting. But then you play it and it's like turn 1 you play Void Virtuoso or Tour Guide, turn 2 you tap. Like the curve's just not actually there. It's so close, man. It's the most frustrating kind of deck because it's almost there. It might just be that this deck is seriously suboptimal and there are a couple of unintuitive cuts, but I think this deck is just a fringe deck that won't ever be meta, which is sad. It's so close to competitively viable.